Alright, so tonight we're sticking with just one story, but trust me, it's more than enough. And this one, it's the kind that doesn't rely on loud moments or jump scares. It's quiet, slow, and the more you think about it afterward, the worse it gets. So yeah, just settle in. Maybe turn the lights down a little, because this one starts off peaceful, almost too peaceful, and then it just keeps getting worse from there. So this guy, he's the kind of person who actually enjoys being alone. Not in a sad way, just he likes the quiet, the space, being somewhere far away from everything. No notifications, no people, no noise, just him and whatever's around him. And because of that, he got into hiking a while back. Nothing extreme, just long walks through trails, forests, places where you can go hours without seeing another person. And over time, he found this one specific trail that he kept going back to. It wasn't popular, not the kind of place you'd see families or groups, just a narrow path cutting through a dense stretch of forest, tall trees, uneven ground, and once you got far enough in, you'd completely lose sight of the road. And that's what he liked about it. It felt disconnected, like stepping into a place that didn't really belong to anything else. And he'd been there enough times to feel comfortable. He knew the turns, the landmarks, even the spots where the ground dipped slightly under the snow. So when winter came around, and the first heavy snowfall hit, he didn't really think twice about going back. If anything, it made the whole place feel even better. Quieter, cleaner, like everything had been reset. So one night, after it had been snowing for a few hours straight, he decided to go out there again. Which, yeah, already sounds like a bad decision, but to him, it wasn't unusual. He'd done night hikes before, and the snow didn't bother him. He had the right gear, a flashlight, a fully charged phone, everything you'd normally need. And when he got there, it looked exactly how you'd expect. The ground completely covered, a fresh, untouched layer of snow stretching out in every direction. No footprints, no tire tracks, nothing, just smooth, white silence. And for a moment, he just stood there, taking it in, because it did look beautiful, like one of those scenes that feels almost fake, too perfect to be real. And then he started walking, slow at first, his boots pressing into the snow with that soft crunch, the only sound around him. And as he moved further in, the world behind him just kind of disappeared. No distant traffic, no wind pushing through the trees, not even the usual forest sounds. It was just quiet, in a way that felt heavy, like the air itself was absorbing everything. And at first, he didn't mind. He actually liked it. It made everything feel calm, controlled, like he was completely alone in a good way. But the deeper he went, the more that quiet started to feel different. Like it wasn't just silence. It was absence, like something that should be there wasn't. And he couldn't really explain it. It was just a feeling, subtle, easy to ignore, but it was there, sitting in the back of his mind. And he kept walking anyway, following the trail like he always did, occasionally checking his flashlight, making sure his footing was steady. And then, after a while, he heard something, so faint at first that he almost missed it, like a distant sound carried through the trees, and he stopped, just froze in place, listening, and for a few seconds, there was nothing, just that same heavy silence, and he almost laughed it off, thinking it was just his imagination messing with him. But then it came again, clearer this time. In this time, there was no mistaking it. It was a voice, a child's voice, calling out, not screaming, not panicked, just calling, like someone trying to get attention. And instantly, that calm feeling was gone, replaced with something sharper, something uneasy, because none of that made sense. There shouldn't be a kid out here, not this deep, not in the middle of a snowstorm, at night. So he turned slowly, scanning the trees, trying to figure out where it was coming from, and for a moment, he couldn't place it. It didn't sound like it was far away, but it didn't sound close either, just somewhere. And then it happened again. In this time, he realized something that made his stomach drop. It wasn't coming from in front of him or behind him. It was coming from above, and slowly, almost hesitantly, he tilted his head up, his flashlight beam shifting with him, moving across the branches until it stopped. And there, sitting on a thick branch, higher than he would have expected, was a boy small, maybe 8 or 9, just sitting there, completely still, looking down at him. And for a second, neither of them moved. They just stared at each other. And the man's brain immediately tried to find a logical explanation. Maybe the kid climbed up earlier. Maybe he got lost. Maybe his parents were nearby. But then, something didn't add up. And it took him a second to realize what it was. The snow. There were no footprints anywhere around the tree. Not leading to it. Not circling it. Nothing. Just a smooth, untouched surface. Like no one had been there at all, except him. And that's when the uneasiness turned into something heavier, something closer to fear. And he took a small step back, not even fully aware he was doing it. And that's when the boy smiled, slowly, stretching his lips wider than felt natural, too wide, too still, like it wasn't really an expression, just something placed on his face. And it didn't change, didn't twitch, didn't fade. It just stayed there, locked in place. And something about that, something about the way he was just sitting there, smiling like that, in complete silence, made the man's instincts kick in hard, telling him, this isn't right. This isn't normal. You need to leave. So he shifted his weight, preparing to turn around, to just walk away and not question it. Because whatever this was, it wasn't something he wanted to figure out. But before he could move, the boy adjusted slightly, just enough to change his balance. And then, without any warning, without grabbing the branch or slipping, he just let go and dropped straight down. No hesitation, no attempt to catch himself, just fell. And the man didn't even have time to react. It happened too fast. 1 second, he was up there. The next, he hit the ground hard. The kind of impact that should have ended in screaming, or at least movement. But instead, there was nothing, just that same silence again. And the boy lay there, completely still. And for a moment, the man couldn't move, his brain trying to process what he just saw, because there's no way someone could survive that, especially a kid. So slowly, cautiously, he stepped closer, his boots crunching softly in the snow, each step feeling heavier than the last. And as he got within a few feet, he leaned forward slightly, trying to see if the kid was breathing. And then, suddenly, the boy moved, not slowly, not like someone injured, but fast, sharp, unnatural. He just sat up instantly and turned his head toward him. That same wide smile still there, unchanged. And before the man could even step back, the boy stood up, completely fine. No hesitation, no sign of pain. And then he took one step forward, then another, and then he started running straight at him, full speed. And that's when the fear hit. Real fear, the kind that doesn't give you time to think. The man turned and ran immediately, his body reacting before his mind could catch up, pushing through the snow, his breath coming fast and uneven, his heart pounding so hard it almost drowned everything else out. And behind him, he could hear it, footsteps, fast, light, but way too close. And what made it worse was that there were no other sounds, no breathing, no voice, nothing, just the footsteps. Like whatever was chasing him didn't need anything else. And he kept running, not even sure if he was still on the trail. Branches hitting his arms, snow kicking up around his legs, his footing slipping slightly as he tried to move faster, and every second it felt closer, like it was right behind him, just out of reach. And then his foot caught on something, buried under the snow, and he went down hard, hitting the ground with enough force to knock the air out of him. And before he could even recover, he felt it, pressing down on him, the boy already there. Like the distance between them meant nothing. And then it turned into a struggle, chaotic, desperate. The man trying to push him off, the boy grabbing at him with a strength that didn't make sense. And through all of it, that smile never changed, not once. And the man fought every bit of strength he had, managing to shove him off just enough to roll away, scrambling backward through the snow, his hands shaking, his vision blurring slightly from the adrenaline. And then, just like that, it stopped. The boy stood there, still staring at him, and for a second, everything went quiet again. And then, he was gone. No footsteps, no movement, just gone. Like he'd never been there at all. And the forest returned to that same heavy silence, and the man just sat there, breathing hard, trying to make sense of it. But there was nothing to make sense of. Later, when he finally made it out and told someone, the police went back to check, searched the entire area, but they didn't find anything. No footprints except his. No signs of a fall. No disturbed snow. Nothing. Just a perfect, untouched layer. Like the forest had erased everything. And that's the part that stayed with him. Not just what he saw, but the fact that there was no proof it ever happened, except for the bruises, the cuts, and the memory of something that shouldn't exist, just waiting out there. In the quiet, for someone to notice it. All right, so the next one. This one feels a little more grounded at first, like something that could actually happen, which honestly just makes it worse the longer it goes on. So, this college student, he's staying off campus, not too far from his friend's place, and one night, during a full-on blizzard, he decides to walk over there, which already sounds like a terrible idea. But at the time, it didn't seem that serious to him. He'd walked that route a bunch of times before. It was familiar, simple. Just a straight stretch of road with some trees lining the sides. Nothing complicated. And even though the snow was coming down hard, visibility was bad. wind pushing everything sideways. He figured he'd be fine, just keep his head down and keep moving. So he bundles up, steps outside, and right away, it hits him how intense it actually is. The cold biting through his gloves, the snow already piling up under his feet. Every step making that heavy crunch sound as he moves forward, and the world around him just looks empty. Like everything's been swallowed by white. No cars, no people, not even distant lights. Just that constant wind and snow. And at first, he's focused on just getting through it, keeping his balance, making sure he stays on the road. But after a while, something breaks that pattern. He hears this loud, metallic sound, like a sudden crash, echoing through the storm, and it makes him stop immediately, heart jumping a little as he looks up, trying to figure out where it came from. And then he sees it, off to the side of the road, barely visible through the snow, a snowplow, tilted at an angle, clearly having slid off and slammed into a tree. And for a second, he just stands there, trying to process it, because it must have happened seconds ago. The engine's still running. He can hear it, that low rumbling sound under the storm. So without really thinking too much, he starts moving toward it, stepping off the road, pushing through the deeper snow, his pace picking up a little, because now there's urgency. Someone could be hurt, maybe trapped inside. And as he gets closer, the details become clearer. The front of the truck pressed up against the tree, one of the headlights flickering slightly, snow already starting to collect on the windshield, and the engine still going, like nothing's wrong. And that's when he reaches the driver's side, expecting to see someone inside, maybe unconscious, maybe trying to get out. But when he looks in, the seat is empty, completely empty. No driver, no passenger, nothing. And that alone makes him pause, confusion setting in, because that doesn't make sense. Someone had to be driving it. It didn't just crash itself. So he circles around a bit, shining his phone light through the windows, checking the other side. Maybe the driver got out. Maybe they're nearby, but there are no footprints. None. Not around the truck. Not leading away from it. Just smooth, undisturbed snow. And now, that uneasy feeling starts to creep in, the kind that doesn't have a clear reason. It just builds, slowly, and he calls out, asking if anyone's there, if someone needs help, his voice getting swallowed by the wind. And for a moment, there's nothing, just the storm. And then, suddenly, he hears it, a voice, a man's voice, calling for help. And it sounds close, really close, like right behind him. And instantly, his body reacts. He spins around, expecting to see someone standing there, but there's nothing. Just empty snow and darkness beyond it. And that's when the fear hits properly, because the voice didn't echo. It didn't sound distant. It sounded like it came from right next to him. And before he can even process it, he hears it again, the same voice, same tone, calling out, and this time, it feels even closer, like it's almost on top of him, and that's enough. He doesn't question it anymore, doesn't try to figure it out, he just turns and runs, back toward the road, his boots slipping slightly as he pushes himself faster, adrenaline kicking in hard, his heart racing as he keeps expecting to hear footsteps behind him, or that voice again. But there's nothing, just the wind. And he doesn't stop until he's far enough away that the truck isn't even visible anymore. And even then, he doesn't slow down much, just keeps moving until he reaches his friend's place. Out of breath, shaken, trying to explain what just happened. And later, when they call the police and report it, expecting at least some kind of follow-up, the response they get doesn't make things better, because when officers checked that exact stretch of road, they don't find anything. No truck, no crash, no tire marks, nothing. Just a clean layer of snow, untouched, like no vehicle had even passed through there at all. And that's what stays with him. Not just the empty truck, but the fact that it was never there to begin with, or at least not in a way anyone else could prove. And honestly, that alone is enough to mess with you. But the last story, this one, feels even more personal, because it doesn't just end out in the storm. It follows him home. So this one's about a teenager. His name's Sebastian. And one evening, he's coming back from a nearby train station. Nothing unusual, just a normal routine, except the weather's taken a turn for the worse. Full-on, whiteout conditions. The kind where you can barely see a few feet ahead of you. The snow coming down so thick, it almost feels like a wall. And the wind just makes it worse, pushing everything sideways, cutting through his clothes, no matter how layered he is. And as he's walking, trying to stay on the path he knows leads back home, everything around him starts to blur together. The trees, the ground, the sky, all just different shades of white and gray. And it makes the whole place feel empty, isolated, like he's completely alone out there. And for a while, it's just that, him walking, head down, focusing on each step, until something catches his attention. Off to the side, just beyond the line of trees, a figure standing there, completely still. And at first, he thinks maybe it's just his eyes playing tricks on him, the storm messing with his vision. But then he looks again, and it's definitely someone, a man, standing just inside the woods, not moving, not reacting to the storm at all. And what makes it worse is what he's wearing, or what he's not wearing, because despite the freezing cold, despite the snow, the guy's just in a short-sleeved shirt and shorts, no jacket, no gloves, nothing. And that alone is enough to send a chill through him that has nothing to do with the weather, because that's not normal. No one could stand out there like that and be okay. So Sebastian slows down slightly, not sure what to do. Part of him thinking maybe the guy needs help, but another part telling him to keep walking, to not get involved. And for a few seconds, nothing happens. The man just stands there, staring, and then, suddenly, he moves, stepping forward out of the trees, and that's when he starts screaming, loud, raw, not words, just noise. And then he starts running, straight toward him, and that's all it takes. Sebastian turns and runs immediately, panic hitting hard as he pushes himself as fast as he can through the snow, his breath coming out in sharp bursts, his legs struggling against the resistance. And behind him, he can hear it, the screaming getting closer, not fading, not slowing down, just right there, chasing him. And he doesn't look back, not once, just keeps running until he finally reaches his house, fumbling with the door, nearly slipping as he gets inside and slams it shut, locking it quickly, his whole body shaking as he tries to catch his breath. And for a while, he just stays there, listening, waiting, but there's nothing. No footsteps, no sound, just the storm outside. And eventually, he starts to calm down, convincing himself maybe the guy stopped. Maybe he didn't follow him all the way. Maybe it's over. And hours later, after things have settled, after the house feels normal again, he goes up to his room, trying to put it behind him. But something still feels off. Like that sense of being watched hasn't really gone away. And then, at some point, he glances toward his window and freezes, because standing just outside, barely visible through the snow and darkness, is the same man, completely still, facing him, his skin looking pale, almost purple from the cold, his expression unreadable, just staring directly at him. And for a second, Sebastian can't even move, his mind struggling to process how he got there, how he found his house, how he's even still standing. And then he backs away slowly, calling for his parents, his voice shaking as he tries to explain what he's seeing. And when they come to look, the man is still there, unmoving, silent, and they call the police immediately. But by the time anyone arrives, he's gone, disappeared back into the woods like nothing. And they search, but they don't find anything. No footprints, no sign anyone was ever there. Just the snow, smooth and untouched. And that's the part that sticks with them. Not just what they saw, but how something like that could exist. Out there in the cold, watching, waiting, and somehow finding its way right up to their window, like it knew exactly where to go. And maybe the worst part is knowing that whatever it was, it didn't seem affected by the storm at all. Like the cold, the snow, none of it mattered. Like it belonged there, in a way nothing else did. And that idea that something like that could be out there, hidden in plain sight, in the middle of a blizzard, is probably the most unsettling part of all. Because if it can walk through something like that without leaving a trace, then there's really no way of knowing how close it actually is at any given moment. Then there's really no way of knowing how close it actually is at any given moment.